This is Public Works Committee, April 8th at 7:30. We're an hour late. Brian Travis, Cecile Vaccaro, and Bernie Flynn. Any announcements? I love this. The angels are talking to me. Yeah. Oh, there's Sean. I actually thought it was Don Braceland. No, I'm waiting for Don to call in one of these days. All right. Any comments, petitions from residents and attendants? Darrell?
Darrell Cook, South Walnut Street. I think we need the university officers to explain to the university students, they had handed out how to cross a crosswalk cards before. And with the lack of a crosswalk at Neild Street and crossing against the light at University Avenue causes problems.
Thank you very much, Darrell. Darrell and his brother. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to reports. Engineering, RVE.
Thank you, Councilman Flynn. I have a short report for tonight. As I've noted before, RVE regularly reviews grant opportunities with the borough staff, and we review the various grant opportunities and try to prioritize various projects within the borough. The second item I'll report on for tonight is the Gay Street closure project. This is the project that's being funded by Chester County and includes bollards to be placed and installed along Gay Street. The bid opening for this is scheduled for tomorrow. We have received many questions on Bonfire, which is the online public bidding system. So I do anticipate receiving some bids tomorrow. And then the last item I'll report on is we reviewed traffic data and crash reports at the Price and Darlington intersection, and we are working with borough staff on the next steps to implement various improvements at that intersection. Our recommendations include similar improvements that were made to the nearby Price and Brandywine intersection. And that concludes my report, unless any of you have any questions.
I have, Mr. Travis.
Yes, what were those improvements at Price and Brandywine that you mentioned, just for the record, so if anybody's
It
listening in?
includes, sure, it includes various signage and striping.
The yellow signs that are at that intersection, is that what they are?
That's correct.
Okay. At one point, we were talking about narrowing some of those to get people to slow down. Is that not on the table for this particular intersection? Like our bump outs do, essentially narrow the people will slow down. I know that was discussed in the past. I just didn't know if that was even an option anymore.
I think you're talking about something like a raised curb bump out.
Yes.
So that would be more of a long-term project that
Okay.
I can certainly discuss with the borough.
Okay, I'm just trying to remember what we did at the other intersection. Price and Brandywine. I think it was just signage.
Signage and striping, which we haven't done a follow-up study, but we've gotten good feedback from various
Residents are happy.
community members.
Okay. That was it. It was the only thing I.
Thank you, Mr. Travis. To your point, at Brandywine and Price, it's extremely bright. The yellow curbing, the crosswalks, the dancing child in the middle of the street that keeps getting blown across the street when the wind's too strong. It's actually enhanced that area like I said, makes it much brighter than on Darlington Street. It's pretty dark over on Darlington Street, so it would be a good facelift over there for that one. So thank you. Thanks for looking into that. Appreciate it.
Yep. Any other questions?
I feel like I should share.
Share.
I don't want to.
Sonny Bono, let's go,
I don't,
Share.
is my mic working? It doesn't matter. I do think that the modifications that we did at Price and Brandywine are helpful and good, and they're very clear, and they're not everything that I wanted, but they do improve the area. I have had one neighbor extremely upset by what was done there. And so I just feel like I should put that out on the record, that they feel that it brings down their home value. So,
Oh, it's bright. I mean, it almost looks like a landing strip at International Airport. That's how bright it is. But it achieved the thing that we couldn't get, but the stop sign that we couldn't get through. But I don't know about lowering property values in the borough. If I move in your neighborhood, the property value will go down. So.
I think
thank-
I think it's actually as necessary, if not more, on Darlington. That is dark corner and very frequently used. I drive on Price Street all the time, and there are people peeking out and trying to figure out when is the right time to bolt. It's terrifying to cross there, but thank you. Please go forward with that.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
See you next month. Mr. Edwards, come on down. Public Works.
Good evening. Some of the highlights for the past month are as follows. We opened bids for the 2025 paving project in High Street parking lot, which we're going to discuss later. As Ramsey mentioned during the parking committee meeting, we advertised the Bicentennial Garage, repairing the level 3 decking there. Opening bids on May 8th, as she also mentioned. Prepared standard operating procedures for trash and recycling and storm inspections. We installed a new stormwater inlet on North High Street as part of PennDOT's paving of that section of the road. And as you saw from the email this afternoon, they've started that work today. We completed the relining of the storm sewer at Hoops Park. And we installed a solar power motion detection light at Veterans Park. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, friends? No, thank you very much. Wastewater. Mr. Mitchell, just so you know, it's only live once. So if you got to look
I
at
wanted to
that.
see you multiple times.
You
I
are
apologize
glutton for
again.
punishment, sir.
Good evening. This past month, we did preventive maintenance on all 3 of our main blowers at Goose Creek. The yearly annual maintenance on the 6-inch pump. We actually tore down the whole microscreen, replaced, inspected the shaft and bushings, which were all in good shape, and placed it back into service. Both polymer tanks were drained, cleaned, and placed back online. All the recirculation sprays, now that the weather was warmer, with less chances of freezing, they were all reconnected and are back in use. T7C clarifier was taken down, drained, inspected for annual maintenance. The average flow for Goose Creek was 938,000 gallons per day. Taylor Run did some concrete repair work on stairs, some internal parts on a new primary sludge pump, which failed, was replaced under warranty. They cleaned out all 3 of their tertiary filter systems, replaced floats in a wet well, and pumped and drained out. They started cleaning out their RBCs with their own vacuum trailer. Their average flow was 739,000 gallons per day. For the pump stations and collection system, all 4 pump stations were cleaned out. We had performed 13 manhole inspections, updating the data in Cartograph for flow direction, pipe size, type, and manhole material. An infiltration and inflow program was started jointly between the wastewater department and the public works department. We will continue to on manhole inspections, video inspections of lines, and start metering lines for flow rates. Capital projects. This month, the finance department is receiving 4 purchase orders from us, 4 capital projects. One is for the Taylor Run sludge pump, $29,000. It's be in about 8 to 10 weeks. will be installed by borough workers. That will be under budget. Goose Creek will be installing 2 primary sludge pumps. Again, that's another 8 to 10 week delivery. So we're trying to get it in now to get it so we're not rushing at the end of the year. They're both from a CoStar vendor. Our chemical storage feed for alum at Goose Creek, or PAC, as we have a PO for every month. We asked for a purchase order of $59,000 for 2 tanks, 2 2,000-gallon tanks, and we asked for $23,820 for pumps to be installed. So it would be 2 pumps, flow meters, everything, pipes, all that in with it. Maple Alley, all the utility locating is finished, and the lines were surveyed, the video was recorded, and now everything is in the hands of Pannoni, who will be doing the design and prepare a permit for DEP.
Questions?
Just about the timing on that major sewer upgrade. What are the next steps? And you said it's in the hands of Pannoni right now.
We
Just
are
curious to-
hoping to have everything, the permit and everything, the designs ready to go for a June, late May, early June submittal. Bid in July, award in August, and unfortunately construction somewhere between September and November.
To start, you mean September and November?
Complete.
Oh, complete.
Phase one.
Phase
We're
one,
going, I'm
right.
sorry. Yes, we're going to design phase 1 and 2. We're going to bid phase 1 this year, complete it this year. We're going to bid phase 2 early next year, and hopefully, most likely do what we're hoping is construction in the summer, so we don't run into students being in with that there for both phases.
About 3 months to do the phase 1 piece.
Right. I can't give you, I'm not going to say it's September through November. We're guessing that's when the construction is going to take place.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's helpful though, just to get a sense for where we're getting High Street repaved and then we're going to dig up another area of the town. Thank you.
Mr. Mitchell, I got 3 things for you. The earlier in the earlier meeting, we talked about in ACT committee about looking at our disposable products that we buy, all the chemicals and stuff that we buy in a yearly basis, like the soda ash and the aluminum and all that stuff. Mr. Metrick's probably going to be talking to you about doing a top-down survey to see how we can somehow protect ourselves from predatory pricing through force majeure. You know, so it's going to be really important. The same thing with Mr. Edwards, you know, whatever we use disposable wise, it's going to be a very eye-opening thing if we get hit with force majeure on stuff. So please be aware it's coming.
Okay.
The second thing is by fixing the phase 1 pipe, will the DEP allow us to put on those smaller EDUs on High Street? Do you think? Like the steak shop?
That is part of the 250 East Market. The connection management plan, we're just actually waiting. We're kind of asking every week, what's the status of it? So that way, once that's approved, then we can allow that in.
Okay.
So we don't have to wait for phase 1.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
just waiting for the connection management plan to be approved.
All right. And the last thing is Davis Oil.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I did forget to mention that in my report. I was able to speak through email with a person from DEP. They were waiting on PICO to get approval for, they have to put transformers and electrical equipment into the property. And there's a second site on Worthington Street in the complex across the street from the recycle center. There's a small treatment piece of equipment that's going to be there. So they have to put a pole transformer to supply power to that. Now they are in the procurement of the transformer pole and a contractor to install. The system for the cleanup of the water is actually sitting on Davis's property, waiting for all that to happen. I've talked on the phone with Pico. They are going to let me know as soon as a new work order comes in to make sure that everybody is moving forward with this.
Okay, it's the summer months. Well, that's a positive that they're finally moving forward without sitting it there. I noticed the fence now is more permanent. It's actually concreted into the ground. But the summer weeds and summer brush, who's going to be responsible to keep that lot clean?
That would be the property owner.
They're up in Mosaic.
That property owner is responsible for upkeep of the property, but
Right.
the pollution is a legacy issue,
Yeah.
and the law follows the polluter. And the polluter in this case was the Davis Oil Company, and now this estate has no money. So all that had dissolved, and we're very fortunate that PADEP stepped in and is using public money to install the cleanup infrastructure. So they're the ones who are cleaning up the pollution. But as far as maintaining the fence, making sure that weeds and so forth are acceptable, that is going to be the property owner's responsibility, just like it would be any other property owners. But the property owner is not responsible for the pollution.
Correct, yes. Yeah, I did look up on Chesco Views where the owner was. I sent it to you.
Yes.
It's up by Scranton, Mosaic, Pennsylvania, if I'm saying it right. So we know who they are. So, we can reach out and touch them if they don't keep the property clean.
We'll do that through building and housing and code
Okay.
enforcement.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Metrick. Appreciate it. Thanks, Mr. Mitchell. I really appreciate that. Is anybody here to do anything for Parks and Rec?
I am, if you could hear me.
Whoa, the Angels are back.
Yeah.
Hello.
Good evening. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. Keith Karowski, Director of Parks and
Hello, Keith.
Recreation. Were there any questions directly related to the report? Excuse me. If not, I get into a couple of the items I wanted to touch on. The Hoops Park project over our Racket Center rehabilitation is up and running. Mother Nature has not been kind to us thus far, so we are definitely behind. The original estimated reopening would be the end of April. We're probably looking more into the middle of May at this point in time. Again, remember, we have a couple restrictions regarding once they put the pavement down, we got to wait 30 days for that to cure, and then we have 3 days to wait once they put the sport court on top of that, and that's 3 days of 50 degrees or above. So if anyone gets any issues or complaints regarding the delay in that, they can take that up with Mother Nature. Number two, another capital project that we're looking into for this year that's been budgeted is the Horace Pippin Playground upgrades. We are waiting for three different level design concepts to come into us from Little Tykes / Boyce Associates. These would be through the CoStar's purchasing program. I did bring this up. I heard it mentioned earlier. I did bring it up with our distributor and manufacturer, how the tariffs would affect us. He hasn't gotten back to me on that issue as of yet, but I hope to have some more information maybe in our May meeting. And then there was one other issue I heard mentioned earlier in the parking committee. The handicap parking area that would be added would be nearest the tennis courts. We're going to be adding a new ADA accessible ramp or pathway that leads to the courts. And as part of the grant applications and the grant approval is that we need to provide an ADA space as near to that entrance as possible. So that's hopefully that clears up a little of the questions that came up earlier in parking. One other issue I did want to bring up, as Mother Nature is not been very kind to us this spring, the annual Westchester Easter egg hunt that takes place at Everhart Park on this Saturday, the 12th, is looking like more and more likely that it's going to be moved to the Westchester Municipal Building indoors where it'll be safe and dry. The call has not been made as of yet officially. That won't happen until the earliest, probably Friday morning at the earliest, but we're hoping Mother Nature changes her mind and we'll be able to go outside. But we want to take safety into effect since we are implementing a new sensory awareness area to that event. So we want to make sure that everyone who attends can have a good time, but also be safe while doing it. Are there any other questions regarding the report directly?
Mr. Karowski, how are you going to be able to get the word out that fast from Friday afternoon till Saturday so everyone knows where to go?
Well, we've unfortunately had this happen before. So we'll post signage at the park on the A-frames we use at our events, alerting people that if they do come to the park, we'll use our social media and our website as much as humanly possible. We'll use every means to our availability to do so. But again, you have to remember, we have on a given, a nice spring day when we're having our Easter egg hunt, we might get upwards to, 700-800 people that come there. Half of them are children. And they could be residents. They may not be residents. It's open to any and all. We'll do everything within our power to make sure the word is out there, and we will get a significant less attendance if it's moved indoors. I mean, half the fun of it is being outdoors and doing it in the park.
Did I see a sign that said the Presbyterian Church is going to have their Easter egg hunt on April 4th at Everhart Park?
You may have. I don't know that off the top of my head. If they did, they would have put in a park rental request, but I didn't see that request myself.
Okay, all right. But I did see signs on the streets. So Darrell would like to ask you a question.
No, Bernie, it's the day before Easter scheduled.
For Easter with Presbyterian?
So they're doing theirs on the.
Correct, it's the day before.
They're doing
Thank
theirs
you.
on the 19th, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Keith, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now. Old business, approved March 2025 meeting minutes. Any issues with them? Motion to approve a revision of ordinance amendment, chapter 62, garbage, rubbish, and refuge. The last meeting we had, Ann Carroll supplied the borough and the lawyers with a red line changes and opportunities, and many of them were accepted and revised in the ordinance. Mr. Travis, do you have anything you want to add, or Mr. Edwards add to the discussion? Okay, we have nothing. Public comment?
The motion then would also to be to schedule a hearing in May
Okay,
for council.
right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Metrick. And Carol, please.
Hi, Ann Carroll, 506 South Franklin Street, and chairperson of CASE. We did have a CASE meeting, so some of these comments are mine and some are CASE's. I'll try to distinguish. I thank Mr. Travis for having talked with me for a long period of time to go over many of these things. Some of them are a couple of things. Every time I read it, so I'll stop reading it after tonight. But it's what I did. Toters is a trademarked term, and that trademark was renewed in 2017 from my research. So I thought maybe if Kristen wants to avoid that problem from a legal standpoint, we could just use the word tote. Oh, I didn't see the changed one. Okay. Then stop me if I'm getting, so all of those are now done. There were a couple of typos, which I'm sure we picked up. Huh?
She has changed everything except for those things that might be a policy change.
Right. So I just tell me if I'm saying something that's not. Okay. So the next thing was a question whether we should add this if it is not in conflict with another part of the code, which I quoted, and if refuse would not be required to be removed within 24 hours. In other words, if people have trash that's not able to be picked up because it violates the rule, should we add after such notification, because it says we'll notify them, specifically the landlords who have too much trash out for the property. After notification, any additional removals in the interim by the borough shall or will be charged at the special pickup rate until such time as the owner notifies the Director of Public Works that private collection has commenced. In other words, we have a problem in the Southeast where it just sits there. So unless there's going to be really serious ability to enforce that we didn't pick it up, we're notifying you 2 hours later, it is gone within 24 hours. If that's not going to happen, then we need a clause like this that says, okay, you're not picking it up, we'll charge you. We'll pick it up, we'll charge you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we've talked about the transition from public to private trash. And it's my opinion that it's going to require some finesse. You know, is it going to be after the third, the fourth, the fifth time? You know, it's just something we're going to have to work through. I would say I'm not in favor of like any kind of like a special pickup fee or anything like that. But it's just going to take some finesse as far as a transition from public to private, because they're not going to want to do it.
Finesse is not something that neighbors should have to wait for. So that's my point. And so I would ask you to consider that, that there has to be, if there's a bunch of trash sitting there, if it's going to be sitting there for the next week and still not going to get picked up and not going to get picked up, there
You're at
has to
3
be
minutes
enforcement.
now. You have 2 more minutes. Ann.
Okay, gotcha.
I got a comment. All right, you stop. Okay. We deal with this all the time where we place stickers, we don't pick up the trash. They call us, they get in conformance, we go back out, we find a way to get the trash so it doesn't stay there for a real long period of time. So I don't want anybody to think that it's going to be as bad as trash sitting there for like days and days and days.
Yeah, can I just ask a question? I thought there was, and I might be wrong about this, but if a private hauler doesn't come, private hauler, are you talking about public or private? Sure. They can no longer, because they've exceeded all the limitations and, okay. Yeah, this was a separate issue. This had more to do with if it is sitting there. I believe that there's a place in the code, I can't remember where it is, I don't think it's 62, where Public Works would come by and pick it up, but then they would charge the landlord. So that would be the process right now if that situation happened until we converted that particular residence to private hauler. So there is some safeguard in place already for that. Okay.
Okay. I'm satisfied if you're satisfied. The next issue, I'm scrolling. Most of them are. There's still the reporting issue. I don't understand how the collector, the private collector. Oh, okay, fine. Okie dokies. I'm sorry. There is one. Oh, the one more is the one that is definitely a case comment, and we've discussed this, Mr. Travis and I, and we're kind of on different sides of it. But case members, unanimously, those who were at the meeting, and there were 10 of us at our last meeting this week in my living room, would prefer that NC residential areas, with regard to the dumpsters, if it's in an NC area, that that the borough insists on increased frequency of pickup by the private hauler rather than forcing them to dumpsters. The comments received were that they are unsightly despite the screening, but no matter how well you screen them, they smell. They're not as easily cleaned as a tote. And we don't want to be looking at them. We agree that there won't be a large number of them, or at least we hope there won't be a large number of them. But I had suggested to Mr. Travis, maybe we hold that in reserve until enforcement starts on the other parts of the issues. And, you know, I have a reserve clause in there. If enforcement doesn't do and the change of rules doesn't do what your intent is, then okay, we have no choice. But it is not our choice where we live so very closely together in the Southeast, really closely together, that we will be smelling dumpsters. So
Thank
that's
you,
it.
Ms. Aunt
Thank you.
Carol. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just so you know, it's 5 minutes and 20 seconds. You did well.
So as part of the conversion process, when we're confronting residences, landlords, et cetera, go from, they've exceeded the limitations on their private trash, and they need to get a dumpster. We would have that conversation about frequency. I assume at that moment, we can't write all of this into an ordinance, right?
Right.
Some of this has to operate outside of the law or the rule. So I would just encourage that we do try to minimize the amount of conversions. Some of these larger residences that are have many people living there,
Right.
they're probably already on
Mhm.
twice a week pickup.
Right.
So when we're at that point, they need to get a dumpster.
I understand.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Mr. Metric, as presented with Ms. Carroll had a few little minor things, but they were already covered by Kristen and Mr. Edwards. Is it 3-0 to move it forward? 3-0 to move forward on the work session. Thank you. All right, discuss Public Works Building. We're going to table that again, right, Mr. Metric?
Don't have a whole lot more to report on other from last month, and I did circulate a draft document to members of council. I do have the administrative chief inspector on this, sitting to my right. We are getting the documentation that will fill in the gaps between what happened between 2007, 2011, 2017. Most lately, there was an effort to secure roughly 2.5 acres of the Wyeth property prior to it getting under agreement of sale with its current owner. And the current owner has since gotten final land development approval for a warehousing site. But at that time, what I found out was that 2.5 acres was carved out in the northwest corner of that site. Some plans were developed for a public works facility on that site that would satisfy present and future needs. And at the time, a price was negotiated, but the council at that time did not choose to execute that option. So that was the last time this issue was ripe until now. And what my intention is to finish this document just so you have history, and then we can start talking about what we do going forward.
Thank you. And the selection that Mr. Perone made of the northwest corner was a bad selection. And I told him that because it's right next to the neighbors' houses. And the noise in the morning wouldn't be very nice for the people living right there in that block. Over by Goodwill Fire Company would have been a better selection over that way, but that's already sailed. So we're not even considering that at this point. So thank you, Mr. Metric. Appreciate it. All right. New business, the discuss Chester County Historical Society banners and sign proposals. I didn't see any issues with them. Did you guys? Okay. That's it. 3-0, Mr. Metric. B, motion to award a 2025 paving project bid. Mr. Edwards, can you just walk us through this? Because this is pretty significant.
Sure. This one is for High Street, the 2025 paving project. Yes. We received one bid from Glasgow, who's done our paving the last 2 years. Very good contractor. Price came in very, very good, and recommending that a contract be awarded to Glasgow.
Thank you. Any questions?
The last time, I know we hired them a couple times to do the work, but we did get additional bids. Why did we not get any additional bids for this?
I can't really answer that.
No, I guess you can't. People just didn't bid for it, but I'm just wondering. If it
But
was
one
anything-
thing I can say is this responsible contractor ordinance. I don't think there's that many paving companies that that can conform to that where they get training. You know, electrical companies and things like that with the trades, that's where they would get the union type training and everything. So I don't know how many companies that are like this that can do.
What did you project as a budget for doing the paving?
Yeah, it was about 342,000 and it came in at 274. And I knew that Glasgow would be faster with the alleys because it's basically just one pass. They don't have to go back and forth and all of that. I didn't realize that they would be that fast, but I think that explains the big cost savings here because they can do it so fast.
On the alleys, we're gonna mill all the alleys,
Yeah.
put stone down, and then put what, 2 or 4 inches of blacktop?
Yeah, we're going to mill 2.5 inches and then we're going to put back 2.5 inches of blacktop. And actually, I don't know that it's going to be done as part of this project. Maybe next year, maybe a change order this year where we do. But I think we're also going to seal the blacktop. PennDOT requires that you come in and you seal the type of blacktop material that we're going to use
On the streets or
On
the
the-
alleys?
on the alleys.
On the alleys, okay, yeah, to make it more waterproof. Or were they using the same material in the alleys as they're using on the streets?
No, it's called ID3. It's kind of it's got more like bigger stones. Asphalt is comprised of two things, oil and aggregate. And the nice smooth stuff is mostly like oil and sand. But for something with a little structural strength, you want the bigger stones. ID3 is kind of a hybrid between the top coat and the bottom coat. So it's
Well, we don't touch the alleys that often anyway. It's good to put a good wear coat in there, correct?
Oh, definitely. And I don't think that the alleys have gotten this level of paving. I think a lot of times in the past, they probably just put like a top coat on top of soil, which is why you see all this.
Yeah,
Right.
and it lasts a year and
Right,
it
right.
cracks right off.
And that's where our trash trucks go, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank gosh our fire trucks don't have to go there, but the trash trucks are pretty heavy. So, all right, any questions on the paving? All right. C, motion to award 2025 Hive Street parking lot bid.
So this did not require the responsible contractor ordinance. We did get 9 bids. We got a nice response. And we're recommending that a contract be awarded to the low bidder, which is John Duraco. And the price is real close to the estimate. Actually, it's a little lower than the estimate, but it's real close.
The last time we talked about this, we discussed the daycare and the
Yeah.
church use
Yeah.
and how we're going to notify everybody, keep everybody happy for that.
Yes.
Do you know how long it's going to take to do that parking lot? Maybe 2 days, 3 days?
I would think a day to mill it and maybe a day or two to pave it. I don't think it's going to take that long, but we'll definitely address the whole daycare aspect of that.
Brian, to your point, is there a better time that the church over there, do they have like a summer break where they don't have anybody there? Like for daycare or church stuff?
Probably tell you.
You may want to
I
check
could
in.
probably get some information.
Yeah, because we want to make sure we fit into
Okay.
their, well, we have a window. And
Yeah.
everybody's here, but if less inconvenience that we do, the better off it'll be for everybody over there.
Since they're a stakeholder, we'll invite them to the table when it's time to talk, pre-construction conference and all. So the pastor, or whoever.
There you go.
I could put some feelers out.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely that would be good too. if they're- if it's able.
Just, we're showing some caring on that thing.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. That's a 3-0. We have a lot of 3-0s. Motion to approve a new scoreboard installation at Farley Field for the adult baseball league. We know that somebody was doing it, gifting this to them. So I guess that's the $10,225 price for it. And we have nothing to do with it other than approve the construction of it, right?
Yeah, and this is the process we
permit.
all agreed to last year, that
Yeah.
it would go through the rec committee before it got approval from staff. So here you are.
Yeah, the one thing I just like to add, here I'm again, Bernie. It's literally 1 foot wider. The current scoreboard is 18 by 8. This is 20 by 8. And looking at the email from Mr. Cooper, who's the president of the league, it was easier and more cost effective for them to purchase the new one and install on the current beams in the ground at Hoops Park Farley Field than to take the other one up and replace it. So, and they are fully aware that the conversation I believe we had last month regarding the electric costs, they are fully aware of that as well.
Thank you very much. Have any questions? Anything from,
Permitted and inspected.
right, permitted? Yes, Mayor.
I-
Thank you.
Thank you. So I just had two quick questions. One, is it being put in the same place as the current one?
Yes, exactly. It's going to go on the same poles or posts that are in the ground there currently.
Okay. And then secondly, it's still considered the borough's sign, correct?
Yes, with anything that goes in our parks, they become borough property once installed.
Well, there was discussion of last month of perhaps it not. So I just wanted to confirm that. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Keith,
Yes,
to the mayor's point, the sign belongs to the borough, but the maintenance belongs to the adult baseball league?
yes. If I'm not mistaken, in the contract, any maintenance to the field properties within the fence line, which includes the scoreboard, which is just outside the fence line, the maintenance is responsibility of the league.
Thank you so much. Keith,
Yes,
good night.
thank you.
All right. Any other business?
Yes.
Hello, Mayor. Yes.
If you don't.
No, it's other business, Mayor.
So two things. I just wanted to say thank you, Bernie Flynn, for following up, Councilman Flynn, for following up on Davis Oil in Ward 2. I appreciate your tenacity and following up on that. I would also suggest that whatever weeds that grow up, that they're not allowed to get to the size of a human adult as they were last year. And so whoever owns the property in Mosaic or wherever they are, they get fined repeatedly. Last year, I think that it was totally ignored. There was no fines, there was no anything sent out to them. So I'd like us to continue to stay on top of that, and I appreciate you doing so. Secondly, I would say thank you to Ann Carroll for coming to the meeting and representing Case about National Phone. This past Monday, I was disappointed in the turnout. There was only 5 people there, Daryl and Carol, myself, and another lady whose name I didn't catch, and Patrick McCoy. So I appreciate all of you for coming out. Ward 2 is again being affected by companies who leave the borough and leave Ward 2 in a bad shape. Because now we're talking, it could be up to and over 2 years of remediation being done there with the water. And, and I was very disappointed that our borough manager did not show up. And I was very disappointed.
I was there, but you guys had already finished. So just want to make sure, since I'm being called out publicly, I did come to the meeting room. You guys
You
don't-
were there? Is that what you just said? Did you just say you were there? But we had finished. So if you were there when we finished, I don't know, maybe that means you were there. I always think it means you're not there. But be that as it may, I was disappointed in how it was advertised on the website at all. You really had to search for it. Not only did the borough not advertise it well, but National Phone didn't either, because their responsibility was just to notify adjacent neighbors, which there's really none. There's some across the street and some, maybe a few up the street, but and on the, and across the other street. So there was essentially no direct neighbors there because there's, you know, it's an industrial neighborhood. So that was disappointing. And I hope we don't allow them to walk away like we've allowed YF to walk away and Sardimer to walk away and all of the other businesses in Ward 2 to walk away and leave brownfields and leave contamination and leave our borough in a bad situation. So I just wanted to say that. We do have to keep our eye on it. When this public meeting was called, as we found out, we had a day to respond, right, Ann? Which was the next day. And there were a lot of questions. Of course, there was no representation from National Foam there. It was just representation from the company who's doing all the work for them. So, and they, you know, when it got to sticky questions, of course, they didn't have the answers. So it's just another thing that we do have to keep keep alert to, because it's coming up. It's here. It's here. So there's a few core people there, but really they're phasing out. They're closing down. So we just need to attend to that more so than we did Davis Oil.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. Anyone else? No? Meeting's adjourned at 8:11. Thank you, everyone, for being patient.